Righto, it's business time. Skeeter's in his shorts and he's in the house with thongs as well, so it's absolutely all happening. Shoulder FootyCast live from BackChat Studios at the Southern Riverband Boys. Skeeter, good morning.
The reason I've got shorts and thongs on is because it's still 28 degrees and we're in almost June. What is going on in this town? I love it. It's how good's the weather, but it means I've got to water the plants a bit more regularly than I have to. And I've got to wash my car because it's got bird poo all over it. I don't know how. It's seriously, you're going to have a look out the front. I don't know what's happened. It's like 16 birds have congregated onto one car and they've gone whooshka. So, you know, I've got to go and wash.
Is it in front of your house?
I don't know where, no, not from me. I don't know where it is. Somewhere I've landed under a tree, and it's anyway. It's caused me a lot of angst. And I've got to go to the car wash and do all that sort of stuff. But no, good to be here and lots of footy talk floating. I know you're fired up about a couple of subjects.
A couple of things. There's a bit going on, Skeeter. Why is my microphone dropping in and out?
This is not like a Jetstar flight. We're normally.
Jetstar flight, just boarding all passengers. Just had a couple of issues on the microphone, Skeeter.
Seriously. No, just like we just week in, week out. There's always something like that. As I said with Jetstar, sometimes I've been on a flight and the pilots, ladies and gentlemen, just a slate to Lee in this flight to Brisbane. Unfortunately, my co-pilot has left the keys in the hotel. That was just out of sign for. Anyway,
very good.
It's good. Thank you.
Very good, Skeeter.
Let's go.
Okay, we're going, mate. There's a bit going on as per usual. Make sure you're coming down next Thursday to our Leadable Showdown, spectacular down there. We're doing a bit of a waffle show. Skeeter's hosting Hamish Brayshaw, Lee Kitchen will be up on stage having a chat. All the players are coming down. We've got some palmies down there for the boys. So it's $20 palmies down there. Come down, have a beer, watch the footy. The Bulldogs in Sydney will be on. That'll be a ripping game.
Good game.
So come down from 5:30, $10 tickets. You can buy them on the door, but we'd rather you buy them beforehand. BackChatStudios.com.au, you can get them there. We'll do some giveaways down there. We got merch given away. You can take Dan and Skeeter on in a handball comp. If you beat them, we'll give you a free pint of beer. It'll be a good night.
Should be a good night. And Hammer, last time I saw him there, now he's not playing in the state game this weekend. He's pulled out with a glute. He's still got some issues with his glute, so he's pulled out of the team. So if he's out for a couple of weeks, because if he's in the same form as he was the last time we were at Leadable,
they're playing 2 days later. So I don't.
But I'm saying if he's still injured, if he's got an issue that keeps him out for another week,
he won't be drinking. He'll be injured. You can't drink when you're injured.
Oh, see, well, I tell you what, he looked injured when I saw him at that show we did a couple of weeks back.
So come down, have some beers with the Shelter FootyCast and with BackChat, and we'll have a chat to the Waffle Stars as well before the Leadable Showdown. BackChatStudios.com.au for those ones. You can sign up as a VIP to the show. Hello and welcome to our new patrons. Skeeter, we've got quite a few in there, actually. I'm looking forward to you punching out some of your special content for our VIP, Skeeter. Couple in the big Skeeter tier, which gets them a carton of shelters once a month, Skate. So there's a couple sign up to that.
I might have to sign up to get some shelter myself. I think I made a couple of cans somewhere at some stage. The fridge is pretty bare.
Paul and Tom, very big listener to the Shelter FootyCast. If you've got Skeeter's address, get him some shelters. He's desperate. He's been off the beers for a long time. He's back in business now. Okay, Skeeter, let's get into some big issues, shall we? Are you happy with that? Do you want me to start with big or do you want me to ease into it?
You go straight. Let's go straight to the head of the chook.
All right. So this is from, I'm assuming, some sort of survey that's gone out to clubs over the summer, over the start of the year.
Well, quite often clubs are asked by the AFL now whether it's a CEO's meeting, whether it's something broader than that. But yeah, there's often feedback, and part of that feedback has included how do we reward clubs more than just the premiership winners in the year. Now, the McClellan Trophy is part of that, and it's been expanded last year from $1 million prize money to include men's and women's. So yeah, of that, I think Melbourne has won one.
What's that? That's that.
It's the number of points you get through the season. Anyway, it's a way of, I think, a bit like in the EPL where they've got the Premier League title, which is just about to be completed, the FA Cup, Champions League. There's just three or four different motivations.
Ways you can win.
Well, yeah, exactly. Have a winning season. And in the American sport, having a winning season is often regarded as you don't have to actually win the whole shooting match, but you can
win the championship or
win your conference. Exactly. So I think they're trying to add that, but there was one element that I think just caught your eye.
No, before we move on from that, though, so the complaint is that all we have at the end of the year is 17 losing teams and one premier.
Yep.
Yeah, no shit. That's why it's so important. Like, why do we need more people to win? It's the same bullshit that happens. I told you I was fired up with kids' sport, mate. Oh, Can't keep the score. We can't have losers and winners. Yes, we can. That's what happens in life. You either win or you lose. And if you don't win, you lose. It doesn't make you a loser. It just means you lose. And the next time you come around, you can have a crack at it. Why do we need to create more things to win at? We have one, the premiership. And whoever wins it, it means so much more because there's nothing else to win. That's what you need to win. Why do we need more winners, Skeeter?
No, the only aspect that
I know you didn't write this report.
Chris Scott was saying that, and others, that the minor premier might deserve a little bit more kudos at the end of the home and away season, whether that's financial or whatever. Which I've got no issue with him getting some financial reward for finishing on top, because that's, it's not winning the whole thing, but it is. I think. Got to strive to finish as high as you can.
So top of the ladder, end of the home and away season gets some money.
Well, more than what they're getting, yeah. So,
I'd be happy with that. I don't want a trophy.
No. I think more financial, which the players obviously sharing.
I've heard they want, like you said, Champions Leagues and FA Cups. The reason there's an FA Cup is there's 10 divisions in England, mate.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, they're going to have the Grovedale bloody Bombers down from Victoria playing against West Coast.
And you know who's playing? And you know who's playing in the FA Cup next week, don't you?
Who?
It's Man City and Man United.
Is it?
So it's the two power clubs of anyway. That's the beauty of the FA Cup. It wouldn't work in Australian rules. So
I did ask if you wanted me to go big first. That was probably my second biggest gripe I had out of this report. The biggest gripe I have out of this report, Skeeter. I'm just going to read this out because I'll do it injustice otherwise. Numerous AFL clubs reportedly resent sorry, I'm not sure why that says resent, but numerous AFL clubs reportedly say the Western Australian clubs about excessive travel, referencing business class perks to claim they are actually at no disadvantage to the rest of the competition. I'll read some more quotes. This is
and just to help you out here, the clubs from WA receive and have received a minimum of 12 business class seats.
Under the CBA, the
Yes.
WA clubs are afforded 12 business class seats for every flight to and from the eastern seaboard. Therefore, they're at no disadvantage for the travel burdens they take on each year. Couple of things here. Number one, have you flown Virgin over to Melbourne at all?
Me?
Yeah, in the last 12, 24 months.
No.
I was hoping you'd say yes, because as you walk past the business class, there is 8 seats only. So if we're going to be picky, there's only 8 business class seats on the Virgin flights. They don't fly the A330s anymore. They don't have the big 16-seater business class up the front. They fly the 370s or the 770s or whatever they are.
But I'm confused because don't most, I know the Eagles, don't they mostly take chartered flights now anyway?
Yes, but they're not A330s.
So there's no business class on the chartered flights?
Yeah, there's 8.
On those
There's
ones.
23 players that play in it. So even if they do get all 8 seats, and they've got a chartered plane now, there's only 8 blokes in business class, which has been happening for literally 20 years. Like, yeah, they'll take maybe 4, maybe 6.
How do they work? Is it on height?
It was height. Just don't get me distracted. It was height. It was the actual metrics of this is so dumb that flying business class would take away from the fact that combined West Coast and Fremantle this year, at the end of this season, will have travelled 22 times by season ends. Collingwood, just the 6 times interstate. So a little bit over a quarter of the travel in total is Collingwood.
Yeah. I wouldn't be blaming just Collingwood, though, because other clubs, just veering away, other clubs want to play Collingwood at the MCG and in Melbourne for home game profitability. But what you're saying is, now, bear in mind, clubs that are coming over here, they say players get exit aisles and they might get 2 players to 3 seats. That's all being well. And let me say this. If you play for a WA club and you don't expect to travel, then you're kidding. You're in the wrong place.
Anyone who thinks that sitting in business class, totally takes away from the travel is absolutely kidding themselves. I've flown business class, put my hand up. You're still just as fucked on the other end, right? It's not a big bed and you're sitting up there and Mark Reddings is massaging your feet right? It's just a bigger seat with a bit more legroom and you end up standing up half the time anyway because you're trying to keep yourself moving. You don't just go down and have a snooze and lie. Like, it's just so dumb. The disadvantage is the travel, not how you travel. If they got a big gold rocket ship and they flew them across the country, it's still going to take your time. It's the disruption to get out of your own bed. It's all of the other things around it, not how you travel.
So in terms of solving this, we live in WA. We know that most of the competition's in Victoria. This is a problem that's not going to be solved. But I think what you're taking umbrage is that their clubs such as Geelong are saying this is not a disadvantage. Well, it clearly is a disadvantage.
Trust me, I've driven the Princess Freeway from Geelong to Melbourne. It's no Perth to Melbourne plane trip, mate.
Yeah, and not just that. It's getting to the airport. Look, all these factors, we live in WA. We get it. And you have to travel. That's absolutely on the cards. But I suppose what the Simon Garlicks and Trevor Nisbets over the years have tried to do is, and now Don Pike, they're trying to mitigate or reduce the burden to some degree. That's not saying no travel, but maybe trying to mitigate so that it's not such an imposition on players' recovery, on all those aspects which you've experienced over the years.
Off the back of COVID, and I know I've spoken to Don Pike about this, they're really pushing for multiple games over East. So play Brisbane and Gold Coast, on a Saturday and a Sunday, a 6-day break. Go over there for 7 days.
Makes total sense. They've done it in rugby. The Dockers did it, albeit they lost both games. I say this, they should have won both games, which is they should have, could have, didn't. But I don't think it affected their performance.
Correct.
Mind you, it's a long time it seems to be on the ground on the East Coast.
It's not that much longer. So you go there for 2 nights prior. So if you're playing on a Saturday, you'd get there on a Thursday, right?
Yep.
So what they do is they go in on a Friday. They play the Saturday. They set up a hub. They'd train there during the week. They'd, hopefully play on a Saturday or even a Friday night. Could you get there a 6-dayer?
Organise a golf day or whatever it is. It's some sort of team thing. Yeah. Look, I think it's certainly something that should be considered, but I'm not sure that. I'm not sure.
Whoever's putting the feedback through that the Western Australian clubs aren't disadvantaged are absolutely kidding themselves. It is a joke. That is a joke, Skeeter.
No, I agree.
Mark Readings, Will Schofield, shout out FootyCast. All right, Skate, let's get into the footy, shall we? Fair bit going on. Now, I will do my very best. You know that pronunciation is not my
we're both, and to be honest with you, with your former club adopting a name for the Sir Doug Nichols round,
yes.
Wallylup's fairly comfortable for me now for the Dockers.
Wallich Marawa, I've got that one.
Wallich Marawa. So if we do butcher it, we apologise. We know that they're playing Nam on the weekend, and Uroke is the team that Wallylup is playing. So we might not reference those Indigenous names entirely through the pod, but we tick it off to say, look, we know that this is important for all clubs.
I will say I like it, and I like looking on my fantasy. I like looking on the AFL app. I like looking in the paper and seeing these names. I don't know what you think. I like that we're adapting this.
Yeah,
I just can't say people's names.
I don't particularly like it from a broadcasting perspective, because when you're calling a game and you're saying a certain team's going forward on Sunday, I'll be saying Wallich Marawa?
Yeah, Wallich Marawa.
Wallich Marawa. It's not something that comes
naturally.
It's
not automatic.
No, so it's difficult. So apologies in advance. It's not great for broadcasters. I understand the premise of it, and let's hope we don't butcher those names too often.
Uroke and Wallyup go head-to-head at Marvel Stadium. Thank you very much, Skeeter. This is the Dockers and the Saints, which we can refer them as well. Sean Darcy is up in the air.
He won't be.
Okay.
Put it this way. He didn't play after a 5... If he didn't play after a 5-day break, now what are we going to be, 13? Given that Friday to Saturday?
He's no chance.
If he's got a calf, he didn't train in the main session, I agree. Don't play him.
No, he's not playing. He did his calf. It wasn't a little tightening
even his calf soreness. I've had calf soreness. It's taken me
30 years.
Maybe 3 months to get myself back even walking again.
No, I might have spoken to Sean and he did his calf.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
no,
he's not
probably done his calf. So
no
I don't know why we hide this. Like, he's done his calf.
I'm sure St Kilda's planning accordingly.
Yeah, correct. They won't be going, geez, I wonder if Sean Darcy's going to get up after not training all week. We're going to ship him in. What about Neil Erasmus? Should he come into the side after a big 38-40 display? You worked that game?
Yeah, did the Peel game.
Was he good? Was it a good 38 or is it?
No, it's good 38. The problem is, I think we've discussed it, he's a player that is an in-under player that, who does he, when he comes into the side, often he's a sub, and quite often when he plays, he's not in the role that maybe he would prefer. So his marking, his ball winning ability is terrific. His kicking's the knock on him.
Yeah.
But given they were given what happened last week against Sydney, and they were exposed a bit, then surely he comes into calculations at the very least. I'm trying to think of other players that might even...
Well, Michael Walters will come into the side out of the sub role. So maybe he comes in as a sub.
Yeah, possibly. But there, with what they've got to confront with against Euro Roke on Saturday night, it's going to be... this could be, defensively...
This is the Ross Cup. This is the Ross Cup.
But it could... Remember, it could be horrendous. Because as much as you say Lions defensive, Justin Longmuir, he's on the podium for... And it's a positive in many ways, but they're one of the most defensive sides in the comp as well.
I'm happy to come out and say Freo will win this by 6-8 goals. They'll smash St Kilda. St Kilda look right up there with one of the worst sides in the comp at the moment. They got Richmond. They're covering most at the moment. North Melbourne are covering most at the moment. But outside of that, I wouldn't have it. I don't think there's a worse side in the comp than St Kilda, Richmond and North, and then St Kilda would be the third worst. So
you're right. Yeah,
I think Freo will come and smack them. I reckon their midfield will get all over them. Apparently, there's a question mark over Jack Steele, who's playing with an injury at the moment.
Yes. I did read that. I'm trying to remember what part of his
knee. No, it's his knee.
His knee. Yeah. So that.
St Kilda's midfield v Freo's midfield. Freo should smash them.
Yeah, they should own them.
Right? And they smash them. St Kilda's got they've got a good back line, so they've got a good back line.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they have got their system is good. But,
Freo will smash them. Freo will smash them.
They kicked 7 goals last week, the Saints. Their forward structure looks really shaky. Yeah, off the back of that, I've tipped Fremantle. I've tipped Wallilup, but I think that Ross is always going to... It's not going to... You think 7 goals. I just think he has the ability at Marvel Stadium on a Saturday night to make things more complicated than that. It'll just be a hard... I'm calling the game with you, I think, on radio. It's going to be...
Oh, we are too.
It's going to be one of those matches that Ross will make it difficult. But I'm tipping Wallilup. And if they let me down, then...
they're not letting anyone else down. They're going to need a big rebound after the Sydney game.
They've got a decent break.
Huge, after a 5-day break before the Sydney game, huge emotional dump. There's no other way to describe it. That would have just been like the entire emotions just flooding out of you, and try to play a game of footy after Cam McCarthy last week. I think they'll rebound and they'll get themselves up and absolutely spank Euro Roke. Happy with that?
Yeah.
So, Woolwich Murrowa v Nam at Optus Sunday 4:20. That is the Eagles versus the Demons, of course. Sunday evening game.
4:20.
What is happening?
Well, I'm doing the state game at 12:45.
Go to bed.
Well, it is. It's a Sunday night. And as an adjunct to that, given the new fixtures have been released for the rest of the season, for Wallilup, no Friday night games. They've got a couple of decent games. 6:10 Derby on a Saturday night. They've got Geelong at 2:35 on a Saturday. Eagles got one Friday night game. West Coast
against Gold Coast because the NRL plays in town that day.
It really pissed me off because I want to go watch that. I've got a soft spot for the NRL, but the AFL said, no, we'll make life tougher for you.
Do you think that Woolwich Murrowa v Gold Coast on that weekend is the best game to put on a Friday night? No.
It's not even the second best game. It's the second game. It's not even in the top 5, but they've decided to do, I think you're 100% right, just to stymie Peter V'landys and anything he's trying to do with the NRL. That's the draw, but you know what? You're off Broadway and when you're not playing great footy, and that's WA clubs aren't in that bracket yet.
No Thursday games? Happy, sad?
No, I think we should, because the numbers suggest that people, the attendances are good, the TV audiences are very good. I think even slightly better than what is on a Friday night. The AFL's concerned about leaving Sunday exposed as a bit of a soft day with regards to fixturing, but
is that what it is?
Part of that, absolutely, yeah, because the blockbuster element is sort of diminished the later into the season you go, because teams like whether it's North or St Kilda or the clubs that are down the bottom, the Tigers are struggling. So I think that's part of it. But I think I'd still rather see a Thursday night game moving forward and make Sunday, is what it is.
All right, I was down at West Coast during the week, Skate. I got some updates to give on West Coast players. So I saw Oscar Allen running around, looking quite good, actually. I reckon he's about 3 weeks away.
Is that ahead of schedule or about what he was scheduled?
It's ahead of schedule. He looks 120 kilos, and I don't mean that
That's
in a
fat.
bad... No, I don't...
120 is fat.
No, okay. Might be fat for you and I, but 120 of pure muscle on Oscar Allen. No, he'd be 100, and he just... I'm assuming he's been doing a fair bit of weights. He looks big.
Did he need to?
when you're off legs,
You just try and just do anything.
You're not going to sit around doing nothing. So you'd be trying to find the balance between putting too much muscle mass on, but you got to do something. So I would say he would have been doing a bit. He looks good. No, I mean in a good way. He looks frightening, actually.
Yeah.
So he's running around, going nicely. Matty Flynn, I reckon, must be very close. He was looking like business as usual, so he's not too far away for West Coast.
So maybe just after the bye for him?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. Like he looked really good. Jake Warnerman due to come out of concussion protocols. Not sure if that hamstring's going to be right. 3-week hammy, as we know, Skeeter.
Yeah,
Very close.
On the night we was calling it, it looked like he had cramp. That seemed to be the case. The concussion, I must admit, caught me off guard totally. But I would have thought if the hammy's okay, then he will play on Sunday against Nam.
Elliot Yeo, an outside chance. Of the three, I'd say he's the least likely to play, only because of his history. Imagine playing him again. Does his groin a worse one? Imagine the amount of... You just give him a week. You just give him a week.
Another week, yeah. I mean, you're not playing finals.
They've been forcing both blokes back because they haven't had the cattle. Well, they're starting to get a little bit more competitive. I think you got to give him another week.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I think McGovern, by all accounts, he'll make that remarkable recovery, going to hospital, and not the second bloke from the Eagles to go to hospital this year and then play the next week.
Who was the second? Who was the other?
Ryan Merrick. He was punctured lung, broken ribs.
That's right.
He was taken in an ambulance to hospital and played the next week.
Apparently, Gov was not happy about being taken to hospital. He was absolutely filthy, and Gov can crack the shits better than most. He was very angry.
But the perception or the what?
Well, I think he was might have been maybe a little bit of blood in the urine, so there was a bit of an issue there.
Oh, okay.
You can't be pissing blood and just drift around back on the plane. But he was sort of maintaining that he was fine, and it was just a knock. And they were saying, well, you need to go to hospital, and he wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, he's got a history of just internal rib, sort of that kidney area. Anyway.
So there's sort of all the ins and outs possibilities. Woolwich Marawa, that's the Eagles, and Nam. How's this go?
Well, no Jacob Van Rooyen for Nam. I think Turner also misses for them.
Yep.
But they do get, I think it's Shane McAdam playing his first game. McAdam?
From Adelaide.
From Adelaide. So he gets the gig. I'm actually excited to look at Max Gawn and Christian Petrarca for Nam in person at a ground which they do have some great memories going back to the grand final a few years ago.
That's a good point.
They're a good side.
It'd be good to see them live, you're right.
And we've seen, I think they came last year or whenever they came here, and you got to watch a team that, it baffles me why Melbourne or Nam hasn't gone deeper in the finals because, they just haven't been able to perform in those last two seasons. But they've got a quality team. Their defence is really good. Their midfield is elite. Their forward line's probably a bit suspect.
Ben Brown could be back in the side.
Yeah. Look, that's the knock on them, but they'll be winning on Sunday.
Easy, no worries.
I don't think there shouldn't be. Well, put it this way. When you take Waterman and McGovern last week, when you take out, and that's a worrying sign for the Eagles that their senior older players are the ones that have been their most important this year. You'd like that balance to be a bit more skewed towards the youth, but your man here with the pin, Ruben Jimby, he looks like he just needs, amongst other players, we know Long, and sadly he's gone for the rest of the year, but Ruben, I don't know what he needs.
Put him on back
positionally, playing back
flank. Back flank, played his junior footy there, played his PSA footy there. From watching him play and seeing him play again this year, he looks like a backman to me. And I know I bang on about backman, but he looks like someone who likes seeing the ball in front of him, can hit contests with speed. Apparently he's their quickest and fittest player. I just think he's just getting lost in the midfield.
Has he got also, and this is an opinion, has he got the finesse and the skill to be a top-level midfielder at this point? But bear in mind, I beg the question, we talk about Elliot Yeo and what the type of player he has turned into. Elliot, going back to his time at Brisbane in his first year or two, I don't know whether he's anywhere near the level he has been at. So my point is, Ruben could well develop into that inside mid.
I'd love to see him on a back flank.
Yeah. But then possibly develop into a mid?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But just pull it back a little bit.
Bring the game to him a bit.
Someone's going to have to go to Petrarca. It could be him.
Well,
It's big enough, and he can go forward.
but
he
if
can go
Petrarca
back.
goes forward, that's where the issues come.
Yeah, well, I think he could. He's a backman, so I think he could go all the way with him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Petrarca, though, is, if he's not the best player in the game at the moment, then he's the top three.
All right, we're both picking Nam. Let's move on. Gold Coast v Geelong, TIO Darwin. This should be an absolute dour affair because it's just going to be like an absolute shower up there. It'll be running around.
34 degrees today, so it'll be humid. And interesting, like with no Hawkins, no Cameron, no Mitch Duncan, the Cats
Got small ball.
have had to really change it up. But the numbers that fascinate me, with the Suns up at this venue, they have been very strong. They've won their last 5 games, I think, at the venue with an average of 45 points as their winning margin. So,
right?
won their last 5. They've averaged 109 points in the process in those wins. Conversely, the Cats have won 6 of their last 7 against the Suns. So they're the two stats that get me. And I give the Suns a chance tonight for some strange reason.
Look, I had a little sneaky look at the odds. Like Geelong are favourites, and I like the fact they've gone small ball. Reece Stanley's out as well. They don't have any tall players, so they've completely looking at this game. This is a standalone game for them. We're going to be different conditions. We're going to play a different way. We're just going to try and win the game playing
Courses
Darwin,
for courses. Yeah,
Darwin footy. Gold Coast go well here because it's similar conditions to where they are.
Yeah, I reckon they've stayed up there for the week. I'd be staggered if they went to the Gold Coast after that win over North and came back. I'm pretty sure they would have stayed up for the week.
Where did they play North?
Last Saturday night, so definitely.
Where?
In Darwin, yeah, so they would have definitely stayed.
Right. They've gone back-to-back Darwin games.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's how it's rolled, Schoey. And so, they're managed Jared which is interesting as well. So in fact, you look at the outs for the Gold Coast, all their players are managed. So that is
Same as Geelong.
Yeah, so why can't he, is that right, managed, or are they injured? What is it?
I don't think they're injured. They're dropped.
Are they dropped? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Jake Rogers, Jed Walter, Jared Witts, Nick Holman, all managed, all dropped. They dropped them all.
Is the reason for that because they've got a 5-day turnaround, the Gold Coast?
I don't know, mate. I suppose they can do what they like, can't they? Like, they can bring people in and out as they please. I don't think I've seen Geelong play a full game all year. I don't think I've, with my eyes, seen them play a full game. Have you?
No, you're probably right.
That's probably why my qualified opinion on whether they're the best side in the comp or not probably doesn't really stand up too often because I haven't actually seen them play it.
Yeah, no. Well, 3 weeks ago but again, the people said to me the draw has certainly been soft for them, according to some. Now, whether that means that they've overachieved or not, I'm not sure.
Well, what do you think? You've seen their draw. What do you think?
I think they've had.
Why is it people saying?
I'm picking the Suns, by the way, here, Schoey. And you know what? I've picked a Thursday winner. I think I picked Carlton to beat Richmond early in the season. They won by a point or 5 points against a team that had no players. So if you want to get your tips in, I've picked the Suns. Go and put your house, go and sell your family, and back Geelong.
I'm back in Geelong. I'm picking Geelong.
Oh, you're home. It's a certainty.
So they're playing tonight, are they?
We spent 7 minutes previewing a game that you didn't know where it was, who was playing, where their last game was. Yes, it's Geelong up at the TAO Stadium against the Suns tonight, 5:30.
Calm the Cats. Sydney v Carlton, SCG.
That's tomorrow night, by the way.
Yes, that is right. Friday night football. Sydney Carlton, good game, ripping game, massive test. Big clubs, big teams at the SCG. Adam Cherry will miss the next 3 matches. He's done his hammy, I believe. Cottrell will be out for a month. That's a decent out for them. Doesn't sound like a big name for Carlton, but he's a role player for them. Like a Cripps would be for West Coast. Murrawa. Like a Clark. No, he's not as good as Clark, but he's sort of like a role player needed in the side, so he'll be out. Luke Parker's got to come back. He's been dominating in the VFL. So there's going to be a few ins and outs here. But Sydney, I think, are the best side in the competition. By the eye last week, seeing what they did against Wally Up. Mate, Sydney were unbelievable. They defended well. They were intense. They hunted in packs. They tackled. Like, this Sydney side's been doing this for a long time too. Like, they must have the fundamentals of footy and defence, like tackling and when blokes are running at you and they give their hands, don't let them pass you. They've literally been doing it for 15 years, and I loved what I saw, and I think they'll beat Carlton. I'll start with that.
Yeah, and you think of Heaney, Warner, Will Hayward, who just gets under the radar a bit when it comes to attention because of the names I mentioned with Heaney and Warner and the like. They've got every base covered. Anyone who was at the game or saw them take on Wadey up last week will be tipping them tomorrow night. No Jack Martin as well. I think he's done his calf again. So there's a bit there. Bear in mind, both these sides, since round 16 last season, the Swans have 14 home and away wins next to their name, ranked equal first alongside the Blues. So both sides have been good for a fair while now, but the Swans, gee, they're hard to beat there. They win this game. I'm hoping the Blues can go with them just to make sure the popcorn lasts till three-quarter time.
I think Sydney will pull right away with this. I think it could be a good win for Sydney. I thought they'd be bigger favourites, to be honest, but they're not. So maybe have a little lick at that on the punt. Collingwood v Adelaide, MCG, Saturday. I think this will be a more interesting game than people might think. This is the early game on Saturday. Adelaide are playing a more aggressive, more attacking style now. Collingwood still have those players out. Jeremy Howe will be out as well. Jack Bytel won't come back. I don't know if Mitchell and De Goey return, so I don't think they're going to get those guys back. So it's a very undermanned Collingwood against an Adelaide side that I think's playing better footy at the moment. Yeah,
look, the Crows, they match up pretty well against the Maggies, to be honest with you.
They beat Port Adelaide 2 weeks ago. They drew with Brisbane last week. This is Adelaide.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Bear in mind, Collingwood's won its last 8 games against the Crows. 4 of the last 5 wins have come by 5 points or fewer. Their 2 games last year they won Collingwood over Adelaide. I think a cumulative margin of 3 points. So and pretty stiff at the MCG. So this is a winnable game for Adelaide. With the outs of Collingwood.
Mate, they lost to Essendon by 3 points the week before that, and they beat Carlton the week before that. Adelaide are sizzling.
Well,
Adelaide are back.
They're back.
Adelaide beat Collingwood at the MCG this week.
You got them down? Tipping them?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
mate, they're going well. Listen to this. I'll go from further back than I did. Right, they beat Carlton by 2 points. They lost to Essendon by 3 points. They smashed North Melbourne. They beat Port Adelaide. They drew with Brisbane. Thanks for coming. I'll see you at the MCG. Adelaide Crows. They beat Collingwood.
And the line, just for what it's worth, is 19 points, which I think is very generous to Adelaide. You understand that, the line, 19?
Yes.
Yeah. So they can win.
Thank you very much.
But they can also lose up to 19 points, Schoey. So
I like it a lot.
So off the back of that.
No Myercheck, no Elliott, no Mitchell, no De Goey. Right? There's big names. Big names. Jeremy Howe, gone. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
I was happy with some of their debutants last. Oh,
yeah.
Richards was terrific. He's a good young player, isn't he?
Sullivan's been going well.
Schultz has to come back in, obviously.
Yes, because he was just a week for
suspension.
The sucker punch.
Yeah.
For what was that?
I don't know.
What was he actually thinking?
Against his old teammates.
Yeah. What was it? Was it?
Well, it's like something you do to me.
I felt like it was. Like, on the piss, like knocking on the back, like a Bobby knocker on the back of the head. Anything in there, Skeeter?
Yeah, righto.
Gino, so who are you picking?
Collingwood. Oh, yeah, Collingwood. But you've almost turned me.
Soft as butter.
You almost turned me.
GWS v Bulldogs. No, I think it's me. I think I knocked it out. Hang on. Are we good? Okay. Energy Stadium. Is that right?
Energy?
Is it?
Energy, yeah, something like that. Doesn't
is that right?
It's out there in the boondocks. Was it? Is it the show? Is it the cow paddock? What does Mason Cox call it?
Yeah, the Livestock Stadium.
Anyway.
GWS v Bulldogs. Is this going to be a good game?
I don't know, but your team, the team that you just froth over and just drool over for the last 12 months, they've been shite for a while,
is that
for
right?
3 weeks. They've been pretty average.
They have been. Josh Kelly and Lockie Ash will both be out. They're big losses. On the other side of things, Rory Lobb played in the ruck, had 30 hit-outs, kicked 4.
That's a good audition for another club then, isn't it?
Skeeter goes way.
He's not going to be... How can he fit into that forward line of Sam Darcy, Aaron Norton, Jamari Ugle-Hagan? He can't. He's not a ruckman. He doesn't want to play... He left Freo because he didn't want to be ruck.
And he can't play back.
So he's going to... Collingwood, North Melbourne, take your pick next year. He's off.
So why did he go to the Western
I
Bulldogs?
agree. Well... Why did the Bulldogs recruit him?
It's not like, correct. But it's not like they didn't know they had Sam Darcy, Jamar Ugle-Hagan and Norton. They knew they had him. And they had Bruce.
And I'm not knocking Lobb. It's the Bulldogs' decision to recruit him. Notable mention of Jesse Hogan, 29 years of age, plays his 150th game this weekend. And Stephen Cornelio spoke about him during the week, saying, one of the most misunderstood footballers he's seen. He works really hard. Obviously, the change of environment's been terrific for him.
Who's it gun?
And he was notably upset last weekend after losing his good mate Cam McCarthy. Well done, Jesse Hogan. I reckon if he came out with us for a night in the off season, he'd have a good time. I mean, we'd sort of you reckon he'd be out there, have a couple of beers, and just one of the boys. So well done to Jesse.
Yeah, very good point, Skater. I like that a lot. I have GWS winning this one, clearly. I just don't think the Bulldogs are consistent enough.
No.
And at home at GWS, I think they find a way to rebound. They look like they've lost their, the tsunami a little bit. A little bit of their punch with that. Teams have taken away Whitfield, his run and drive, and so they've lost their tsunami because the tsunami to them is both defensive and offensive. It's defensively the manic pressure that we see from Sydney. That's what the tsunami is to the Giants. And then when they win it back, then they're gone. So tagging Whitfield takes a little bit out of that. They haven't had the drive from the midfield like they would have liked. I'm expecting a very big game from Tom Green with no Josh Kelly in the side. I think he's going to have a very big day against the Bulldogs, who do not defend. They don't defend.
No, they're highly offensive, and they seriously had a training run. I watched that game when I was sitting at home waiting for my mate to ring me up to say, come down to the Beaufort last Saturday night. I was sitting watching that game and thinking, any chance that Richmond were pathetic?
Yes.
I know they've got no players, and they're dwindling with numbers, but the Bulldogs weren't given a test at all. So off the back of that, Bulldogs win that. Giants win that. Bulldogs still not totally convinced about them.
Brisbane v Richmond at the Gabba.
Wow. That's this. The Lions have won one game up there this year against the Gold Coast Suns. But
Well, I expect that goes to 2.
what's the margin going to be here?
A lot of criticism of Adam Uze's last week, sort of saying that he can't fault the effort from the Tigers. Like,
It was always going to be the toughest job in footy. I thought, taking over from Damien Harbaugh, I've mentioned it before, given the success, given the number of premiership players in that lineup who've been to the well sometimes 3 times, it's very difficult to get a Dusty, for instance, buying into a rebuild, which he won't be there for when it finishes. So,
he's not too far away from 300, is he?
No, my thoughts, he'll get to 300 and retire, or 300 and go maybe to the Gold Coast. Maybe he wants to finish as a Tiger, but
I mean, North Melbourne have a little look. Don't they need a big senior body to show them how to win? Dusty knows how to win.
yeah, well, I think he'd be more happy up on the Gold Coast, just sitting up there at the Burleigh Pavilion during the week, not being noticed by too many Mexicans. Although there'd be a few Mexicans up there keeping on him.
Is that right? Yeah. Sorry.
They call them Mexicans.
Who?
They're those in the north, when the Sydney
Please
side
explain
the
yourself.
Mexicans. It's like they come up the border.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what they call. No, it's not. There's nothing
derogatory.
Nothing derogatory. It's just that's what they're described as, the Mexicans coming up to keep an eye on things.
Dig up. Brisbane, Richmond. Brisbane win this. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah, it's they've done well, Brisbane. Well, if they can somehow get to the bye with Brisbane, I'm just saying, with the injuries they've had and the turmoil that's been at the club, you might be right. They might win 6 in a row, and they might be.
Is that who I said would win 6 in a row?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, they haven't lost one yet since I said that.
You're right. They didn't lose. They didn't win, but they still won't be winning the flag.
Essendon. I'm not saying they're going to win the flag.
I don't think they'll make the finals either. But anyway, keep going.
Essendon v North Melbourne, Marvel Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, I can announce that I'm picking Essendon. You can bloody pick them. They're back, especially against North Melbourne at Marvel. I can't lose. Jordan Ridley could be back for the Dons, which is a big one for them. Colby McKercher, the number 2 draft pick, he's out with a hot spot in his foot. So that could be.
Was he the rising star this week? I thought he might have been. Was he the rising star for?
He was.
Yes, he was. So
been playing in the back line, a very cushy role back there for North Melbourne, getting lots of stats and not doing much with it, but that's okay. He'll have a bit of a rest.
And just to complete with the game, we're both picking the Bombers. Is the priority pick, which you said, we've discussed this now. Todd Viney has come out and said, we will not be applying for a priority pick at the end of this year. You've, in the last week or two, said to me, they can't get a priority pick.
I still think it's a rule that they can't get it. So I saw his comments. I think he's trying to get some, good old North Melbourne, they're going to
soldier on.
Yeah, bootstraps, pull them, tighten up their laces and just toughen out. I don't think they can get one.
Yeah, no one said that apart from you in the media, which is interesting, because I mentioned when you were late to 6PR the other day, I was bringing that up and I was hoping you would walk through the door and be able to confirm that this is an AFL edict that they can't apply. Anyway,
If I find this out and I'm
You're a
leading,
genius.
I'm leading the media, roll with it.
yeah, you can. We'll jump on board. We'll follow the Schofield Express.
I'm going to go put my ear to the ground and find out about that.
Put your ear to the ground now.
Okay, very good.
We're
Thank you very
picking the Bombers.
Look, Bombers, just North Melbourne, who cares? But the Bombers they've flipped some stats around from last year. Mate, they're actually a good side now. Late last year, I was listening to our good friend Brenton Sanderson over on the SEN platform. He said that they were fifth coming into round either 17 or 19 last year. Right?
They were good for a long time last year. Forget how badly they fell away.
And everyone was very excited about what they were going to do in finals, but they sat 18th in clearances in the competition. They were the 11th ranked offense and the 10th ranked defense. And he said, not going to stand up, and it didn't. This time around, they sit right up there in clearances. Their defense is good. Their attacking side is good. They're getting a lot of possessions, but they're not stuffing around with it. They're going forward. Their inside 50s have improved. They could be a good side, Essendon. They could be good.
And if we were to stop the clock now and argue the coach of the year, Brad Scott would be in the conversation, very much so.
Todd, and agree, and the follow-up to that would be Todd Goldstein's got to be recruit of the year because Sam Draper's out for an extended period again. With no Todd Goldstein, they'd have Peter Wright playing in the ruck, which they don't want to do. So that's a bloody good pickup from North Melbourne.
Yep, they've done a lot of things wrong over the years, but they've got it right this year. I think they've been rewarded this year with 6, as it turns out, 6 Friday night games, 1 Thursday night game. So the AFL's backed them in. I remember I did look at some figures after the 18 grand final win. I think the Eagles might have had 3 Friday night games off the back of that. The Dockers, after playing in 2013 in the grand final, they had, I think, 2 or 3 Friday night games. Essendon's got 6, and they've done 0 for about 15 years. So
longer than 15.
So you look at it, and the AFL just rewarding a big club because they think they're going to go well, as opposed to if the Eagles or the local teams here were going well, then you're still lucky to get a look at the blockbusters.
Yata Pulti v Hawthorn Skater. The Power. That is the Power.
Thank you very much.
Very good. The Power playing Hawthorn Sunday at Adelaide. No, is it Aurora or Adelaide?
I think it'll be Adelaide Oval.
Okay. Port waiting on the fitness of their captain, Rosé. I don't think he plays.
No.
3-week
I've got to say, this would a month ago, you put this down as just a regulation victory. But got to say, Hawthorn's been really good in the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've turned it around. I think they played well against Collingwood, got to within a goal, and then we saw what they did against the Dogs. Conversely, with St Kilda, it's good. It's what we expected of Hawthorn, but bear in mind pre-season they had a lot of injuries, so maybe they're starting to get that availability back.
They still do, Skedder. They didn't have a spine
Sicily,
last week.
well, you said you'd tip Hawthorn if Sicily played, I think it was, but he's not playing, and you didn't tip him.
So, should I? No, I think I did tip him. I think I did tip him. Pretty sure I tipped him. They didn't have a spine last week. No Lewis, no Chol. They're centre-half forward and full forward, and they didn't have Sicily. They're centre-half back, and they don't have Blank, who's done his ACL. So they may get Sicily and Lewis back this week. Lewis is out for another week. They may get Sicily and Chol back this week.
Dislocated shoulder, wasn't it?
Chol.
No, for Sicily.
Sicily, yes. Mate, if he's not having surgery on it, it's time to play. So basically what happens with it, once it's stabilised, you either have surgery and you're out for 12 weeks, or you just grit and bear it, and he'll strap it up and he'll give it a go. But he could quite easily do it again, and he might have to have surgery. But
season over.
Once it's settled down, you're just going to have to play. So if it's settled down, they're not doing surgery, he'll be playing this week. Port Adelaide just have been
weird.
They're
a strange side to read.
Yeah.
Good win against the Cats. That's massive. And mind you, they just fell across the line, but that's they did the damage early on. They were poor in the showdown.
I mean, we're not saying Hawthorn could beat Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval.
No, but I don't put this down as a regulation victory as we might have done a month ago. No, Port, you can't tip against Port in that type of matchup, but yeah, Hawthorn's been good.
Okay, very good. Will Schofield. I'll pick Port too. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. This Jetstar flight, Skeeter. My cord on my microphone. You can hear it. Can you hear that?
No, all I can do, I've got a bloke in front of me. He's got his seat back all the way, and it's starting to really annoy me.
Okay, we'll get you off the flight very soon, Skeeter. Boys, love the show. I thought on the weekend, for the first time, I really noticed how poor West Coast are on the spread, and conversely, how good Collingwood are. So many West Coast handballs were 1 to 2 metre short passes to another player in a worse position. Collingwood on the other hand, were able to spread almost instantly to clear the congestion and find that loose player 5 metres out from the contest. From a player's perspective, how do West Coast address this? Is it a fitness thing or a coaching thing? Spread from the contest is coached from juniors, so it's not a foreign concept to AFL-listed players. Cheers, Kane. I think it's a good question, Kano. So it's some part fitness, but I would say it's most part fundamentals. So everyone knows to spread from the contest. It's a reactionary thing, and it's reading the play. And Nick Dacos probably does it better than anybody. He goes when he thinks when his teammates have got the footy. He's going 100%. So there's the reaction time, but it's difficult to coach that, although you can. There's the fitness element, but the fundamentals of clean players with the ball, clean hands once they get the ball makes all the difference. If you have one little fumble, everyone around you reacting is out of position. When there's one fumble, one little misstep at AFL level, at the top level, it puts everyone out by a long way. So I think for West Coast, their fundamentals aren't good enough in the middle of the ground. They're not clean enough, and they don't hit good enough handballs. And so it makes it look like they're not spreading when actually they may be. It is a good point, though. I did watch some of the West Coast midfielders drifting through the middle of the ground while Collingwood absolutely bolted. It could be a confidence thing as well.
Yeah, well, I can't buy into the fitness element, to be honest with you. Because the week before against Essendon, who are a quality side, and albeit playing at home, they threw a few punches in a figuratively speaking sense. They were very good in a lot of areas. So, I think it's a player availability as well. That comes into play. I think you're right. I don't buy the fitness side of it, and Collingwood were good. I mean, Tim Kelly, I think first half was exposed at times, as were most of his midfield teammates. They were very poor, and that was circa 2023 what we saw against them. So against Collingwood, I would be hoping that the club responds this week.
Trish agrees with you, Skater. Hosco and Skater just got home from watching the Eagles get mauled by Collingwood. Not pretty, but the Pies were terrific. Our skills went backwards. Luckily, it wasn't 100 points due to their kicking for goals. So Trish was on it with you. This is from Felix over on YouTube. Totally with Schoey. Shutting down one of the opposition's elite ball users worth its weight in gold. Baffling that more teams don't do it in 2024. As a Swan supporter, I'm stoked to see we now have one in Jordan who not only can stifle an opponent but can also play a significant role in the offense too. We had Ryan Clark recently who would do a role, but he wasn't good enough offensively to regularly hold down a spot in the 22. With Jordan, he can come and do both roles, which makes him an invaluable acquisition in the offseason, even if Grundy is getting more of the plaudits from national media. I think it's a good point. James Jordan, good pick up by Sydney, and they're using him in a defensive role. It's baffling to me. I played with taggers. I've seen taggers.
But so just in brief.
Why don't teams do it?
Not just that, but
it's arrogance.
Go to the WA clubs just because we're here. Tell me, at your former club, is it Ruben Jimby?
Jimby.
That not really drafted. You don't want him to become a permanent. You're saying for just on specific occasions, like Sunday against Narm with Petrarca?
Yeah. I mean,
you don't want
yes. Brady Hoff is a backman, but he plays a sacrificial role.
Exactly. But no, so you think Jimby from your club?
But I look at guys and this is not meant to be offensive to Luke Edwards, right? But I look at Luke Edwards, and I don't see him developing into this elite midfielder. So
that's something he could.
If I'm Luke Edwards and I'm fit and I'm hard and tough, which he looks all of those things, why don't you sacrifice your game and go to Simo and go, mate, put me on the best player, I'll shut him down. If you did that if you did that in 3 weeks in a row,
you've got a job for the next 5 years.
Exactly right. So sometimes it's on the player to go, well, where am I at? Am I?
But you know what? That's also. Is it an ego thing?
Absolutely.
Is it is it minimising what you think you can get out of yourself as a player? But sometimes
be realistic.
Yeah. Perhaps, yeah. And
don't worry, I was very realistic about my career, Skate. I'd turn myself into a Dow defender at the back end of my career. It was because I wasn't going to get a game as a running backman, which I was at the start of my career.
So, well, it up. Who have they got as off the top of your head, as their stopper?
I mean, if you wanted to stop a backman, like if you want to tag a backman.
Talking more than mids.
Would be fine for me.
Even the mids?
Midfielder...
It's difficult.
Could Matty Johnson or Neil Erasmus do it? I know. Again, they're not getting games at the moment regularly. Like Matty Johnson more than Erasmus. But Erasmus goes to JL and goes, mate, put me on the best midfielder. I don't know. I could think of stupider things to do. Last one, Skeeter. Muddy. No, a couple more, actually. Muddy, this is my favourite podcast. You blokes have such good chemistry. That's it. No sledges for Skate.
Oh, thank you.
Happy with that, Muddy?
Wow, that's, probably speak more to each other than our wives in the last couple of weeks, I thought.
This is from CM Adelaide. Great analysis, gents. Far happier listening to your take on the round than most of the others. Thank you for at least being prepared to mention Sydney. They are scary good. Tough one for Freo. Hope they get a chance to grieve and get back to their best on the park.
Yep. Whaley up this week on the road. It's a massive. They're outside the 8 Schoey. If they can't knock over a team which you think they will,
they should. St Kilda are terrible.
Yep. Then let's move on and let's hope that they can, because we know that one team isn't playing finals in WA. If Whaley up can, then at least push until
we need
deep in the season.
Skate. That's us, mate. Shout out FootyCast on socials. Make sure you're following us there. Make sure you get on to backchatstudios.com.au. Buy yourself some tickets to Beers with BackChat, Beers with Shout out FootyCast, the WA Footy Preview with Skeeter, Hammer, and Lee Kitchen, and all the boys will be down there. Get down there, $10 for tickets. We'll give you some free stuff if you come down, I promise. And Skeeter will be there.
Absolutely.